Hello, everyone. I am giving you the promised information on how Kansas selects its Supreme Court. And I'm going to give you a little history to begin with. So this involves something called the triple play. And you can go in and read all about this. I'm going to give you the basics of it. And there's a lot more that you can find online and get the full detail. But basically, we had a governor by the name of Hall, and he was not very popular. He was a political outsider in his party, quite liberal for his day, and he knew he was not going to be a two-term governor. He had been lieutenant for 2 terms, and he had gotten elected as governor for 1 term. He knew he wasn't going to make it. And so he enacted something that they've called the triple play. And basically what happened was the Supreme Court justice stepped down. Hall stepped down, putting his lieutenant governor into the governor's spot. And then that governor appointed Hall to the Supreme Court. And everybody lost their mind because they did not want this person in there in any capacity, really. So that is the triple play and what occurred that created the environment for what happened next. And what happened next was a constitutional amendment was made to where the Supreme Court was then decided on a merit system. And so what we have today, this is how it works. It's a merit-based system that was established by the Kansas Constitution in 1958. So this is a 9-member Supreme Court nominating commission that consists of 5 attorneys and 4 lay people. So none of them are elected officials. None of them are decided or approved in any way by our elected officials or our governor to make these choices. Instead, these are people that are elected by their peers. So these lawyer members are elected by their peers, and that is basically 1 lawyer and 1 non-lawyer from each of the state's 4 congressional districts, plus an additional lawyer, okay? So the lawyer members are elected by their peers, so by other attorneys, not by the general public, but by other attorneys. And then the non-lawyer members are appointed by the governor, okay? And of course, currently we have a very liberal governor in that seat. So the commission then narrows the nominee pool to 3 names who are then presented to the governor for final selection. And so the governor really does not have any say as well in who this commission is appointing or choosing as the candidates. So unfortunately what we have here is non-elected officials or non-elected people picking who should be on our Supreme Court. And if the governor does not like the choices, then she doesn't get to choose, or she or he does not get to choose anyone else. She can ask for them to send her 3 more nominations, or if she refuses to select any of them, they can choose for her. So it's not a great system as we have it right now. There is a retention vote for these justices every 6 years. And that is what people get confused with, that's where they feel like we elect these judges because we can vote on their retention. But really that just throws it back to this commission to find 3 more people to present to the governor, and the governor chooses from that pool. So this is unlike any other system in the United States. We're the only state that does it this way. And instead of the federal system where those candidates are vetted through the elected officials where they're able to ask them questions and they're able to decide whether the candidates are viable. Instead, this is truly done by non-elected people, attorneys and lay people appointed by the governor. And that decision is taken completely out of the voters' hands or the citizens of the state. And so I have a lot of problems with that. It's why the bill was passed today. A lot of other people, legislators, have a problem with it. The bill, I should have had it pulled up, but the bill passed today with more than it needed majority-wise. It was definitely popular to pass this. I think maybe the no's were like 13. It was, and everybody else said yes, that voted. So what will happen now is it needs to pass through the other side, and because I think it was Senate that passed it today, and I think it needs to go through the House. So once it does that, then it will go to a public vote of the people. So it'll come to us, and we get to decide whether to change our Constitution. So understanding why it is important to change this is important. And the way that this bill is written today is that it will put it back into our hands to actually vote on these Supreme Court justices. Now, this would not be my preference, and I'll explain why here in a minute. My preference would be that we have it much like the federal system, where we are vetting those candidates, because this is literally the highest court in our land, okay? The only thing above it is the United States Supreme Court. So it is important that we put the correct people in those spots and to serve and be true justices where they are interpreting the law, not making the law, which is unfortunately the current system. What is happening now is that we have a lot of justices that are actually making the law, not interpreting the law. And so when we can put it back into the hands of the people, the way that the current bill is written is that it would go to a vote. So just like you vote in your governor or your representatives or your senators, you would also be voting on your Supreme Court justices. The only problem that I have with that is that I feel like in those positions, judges are the least, we know the least about them. Even when we're talking about local judges, they don't campaign the same way. We don't get the same level of information about them. And so I feel like that is some information that would be lost on people and a little scary when we're talking about the highest court in our land, in our state. So that is how it's currently written. That is probably how it will pass. And if that is how we can get it changed, great. But I think that some things will need to change as far as how we receive information about those judges and what that process looks like to make sure that we are getting the right people into those spots to do the job of interpreting the law and interpreting the Constitution, not making the law or making decisions. So if you have any further questions about this, again, this decision, this triple play that occurred, that enacted and spawned this legislative decision to change the Kansas Constitution, could have been handled a different way. Had they foreseen that we were going to be having some of the issues that we have today with our Supreme Court and being able to get laws interpreted correctly, I think that they would have made a different decision. And so hopefully this will go to vote. I guarantee you there will be a lot of money thrown at it from the Democratic side trying to stop this. They don't want it to change because it's working for them. Most attorneys in general are Democrats and liberals. And so it benefits them to keep the current system in place. What I am proposing is that we put it back into the hands of the people where it belongs, just like when we elect our officials, albeit if it will go into the hands completely of the people to vote on these Supreme Court justices. I feel like it should go into the hands of our elected officials that we have put into that place to do that job for us. So either way is fine at this point, simply to get the Constitution changed so that it reflects where the people are more in control of the decision than just a small group of people that we don't even have any say as to how they make that selection. So if you have any more questions, that was just a really brief explanation of what happened. You can look up the triple play and read about that. It happened back in the 50s, and I'm happy to answer any questions as we go along and we see this through to an election where it will go to the people for a vote. So have a wonderful evening. I hope to be doing a lot more of these videos and explaining some of the different things throughout Kansas, some of the different challenges that we face, and talking about the difficult topics. So if you have a topic that you want me to talk about, please make sure that you message me, and I will put it on my list of topics to bring up during these sessions. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.